In this interview, we will explore the thoughts and experiences one woman has had about her own relationship with body image and mental health. What does the term body image mean to you?
I think the term body image is very much about myself. It's how I look at my body. I'm very aware of other people's shapes and figures, and I don't make much judgment call on how other people look, but I am very aware of how I look, so I would say that's how I view body image.
And when did you first become aware of your own body?
When I was very young, I didn't particularly like food. I was absolute pain at meal times. I think it was mainly to do with school dinners. So I was a very skinny child and I was a very skinny teenager. And as I was growing up with my friends around me who were maturing and their shape was changing, their body shape was changing, mine wasn't. And I did get a little bit of teasing and ribbing, and I think that's possibly the start of me being very conscious about my body.
How has your relationship with your body changed throughout your life?
When I left home and moved in with other students, I think that's when I probably started having sort of more serious views about my body and how I was feeling. My parents were quite unwell at the time, and that's when I started a period of being bulimic. I'd never heard of it before, I didn't know it existed, I thought it was my secret. And I thought I'd found this wonderful way of eating what you wanted to, sort of binging on food, then finding the whole thing disgusting, and so then being able to get rid of it. Obviously nowadays there's a lot more sort of information about it, but that's when I think I can look back now and realise I was probably quite unhappy and using food to start controlling me and how I felt. And I remember feeling very empowered with this secret I'd got. And thinking, this is wonderful, I ought to tell everyone, but I didn't realise that it was out there and other people were doing it.
When did you realise that other people did have this same secret?
When I became older, and really I think I started doing some work for Childline and sort of reading or hearing it more on radios and things like that. So that's when I suddenly realised it wasn't my secret at all. It was actually something that had probably been happening through the period of time with humans. Then I realised that I began to realise how dangerous it was, and I had realised by then that actually my throat was getting kind of affected, and if I started coughing I'd actually end up coughing to the point that I would throw up. So I realised then it was a dangerous practice.
So was it something that you strove to address by yourself?
I carried on, but I tried to lessen it, and I began to realising instead of it being a very clever thing, actually it taken control over me and I had to deal with it, but I still didn't share it with anyone. I don't think I told anyone until recent years. I suppose that's the power of becoming older and looking back and just accepting for your faults and things you did. I didn't feel I could tell anyone, so I just slowly reduced it. But I think one of the things that really changed my habit was just slowly becoming kind of happier and more content, and certainly in my older years just being much happier with the way I look. The interesting is that people have always said, oh, you're so lucky to be so slim, and I sometimes want to scream at people and just go, this has taken an awful lot of horrible hard work. I would like to be eating that bar of chocolate, I'd like to be eating that thing. But I've realised my whole life that I've allowed food to control me rather than me to control it. And I've had a very unhealthy relationship with food. Now, much better. I'm more content in my shape. I've filled out a bit more, which I think's fine. I say thinks, there's still some issues there. But I do really love food, so I do allow myself to, really enjoy it. I haven't been bulimic now for a long time, so I feel that's been really successful.
Did it feel lonely at the time, having those thoughts about your body?
I think it is a lonely place when anyone has a secret, and you think that nobody would understand it, because I didn't understand it myself. There was nothing for me to there was no going online and checking these things up. I didn't see the doctor for anything, so it's not the sort of thing I would have shared. But yeah, it was a very lonely place. You end up going to really long, extreme lengths to make sure people haven't realised that you've gone and thrown up, because there will be signs. So I became quite cunning as well. So that as well makes you feel quite lonely, because you start really not liking yourself. So it's like sort of catch-22. You're in this sort of spiral of negativity. And sort of, I look back, probably body dysmorphia, because I was slim and I was filling out, but I just felt I saw myself slightly different.
Can you describe the relationship with your body image and your mental health as it is now?
So I think it would be very hard for me possibly to break out of it completely, but I am very happy, really, considering my age, with my shape. I wish it hadn't have, I hadn't had this history, but I have, so I accept that. Much more content. I do sadly watch my weight constantly. I don't think I'd ever break that habit now. Maybe I could when I get much older, but so I don't think it's unhealthy now. What I do is I allow myself to eat what I want at the weekends, but I'm much more controlled during the week, and that's how I've managed to keep my weight down. A lot more exercise as well, but I like myself.
Good. And what were the things that contributed to that happiness around your life that helped with recovering from bulimia?
I think once the issues with my parents' own health and mental health was well resolved, and sort of getting some really good new friends, I suppose, moving to another part of the country that I was much happier in, obviously job satisfaction, and just having people, then beginning to talk to people. I began to get friends that I could really talk to in depth and share moments and feelings, and having that trust that your friends aren't going to think you're really odd because of something you do, but actually you suddenly find out that they've done things that, or even had anorexia or body dysmorphia or others kind of eating disorders or unsatisfactory feelings about their bodies or how the way they look. And when you share that, you realise that we're just a sort of really interesting people, and unfortunately we're thrown all these images through the media and television, etc., and it's what makes us wonderful is that we're all different.
Do you think those images that we've been kind of force-fed have contributed a lot to how people feel about their bodies?
I do, I really do as well, because it's not just shape, the fact that they completely fake the photographs, people just have perfect teeth and they take out every wrinkle, crease, character line on somebody's face, and actually that's what makes people beautiful. I find it really refreshing now that we're beginning to have mainly women being shown in adverts, very, very different sizes, and people with disabilities, and I find that incredibly refreshing, and it's really positive.
Do you have a particular feeling or thought about your body?
As I say, I think I've learnt to love myself, which means that includes my body. And that is that's really the main thing. I mean, if I'm looking right back when I was unhappy, and I remember I had to turn it around, and it was, well, if no one's going to love me unless I love myself, and that was my turning point, I think. And so yes, I'm much more content with it all.
When are you most comfortable in your own skin?
Oh, most comfortable, believe it or not, I'm going to say this, in a bikini on a beach with a nice tan, which is really weird when I've had such hang-ups about the way I've looked, but that's when I'm happiest. It's almost that sort of freedom of just running around in lovely climates, feeling free.
That's lovely. And is there something about the sensations on your skin of
Absolutely, not being sort of restricted with clothing, and just that whole being with nature, really.
And we've kind of touched on it already, but what has helped improve your relationship with your body?
I think it has to be just being happier, making sure. And you look back, and it sounds as though I was a really unhappy child. I wasn't. It's just you deal with struggles, and I think when you don't have someone to really share with it, I didn't have a close relationship with my family, and it took me a long time to get really trusted friends. So I think that once that's in place, you can then move on and start sort of loving yourself, etc.
Is that kind of the biggest lesson you've learnt from this whole experience?
Yeah, I think it's don't be shamed by the behaviour you've shown, because I'm not ashamed of it, I'm willing to talk about it now. Because it was a secret for so long, it's almost sort of such a release to be able to say to people, well, this is what I did. It wasn't clever, it wasn't big. I thought I discovered it. It's probably caused harm, that I'm not aware of yet, but the throat, and I think it's not meant to be great for your teeth and things like that. I probably denied myself a lot of really good vitamins, etc. when I was younger, but I think it's improving. As I said again, just learn to love yourself. Sort of don't give yourself such a hard time. None of us are perfect, and just look around you and it's the imperfections that make people beautiful, I think.
Do you think it's a daily practice of loving oneself?
Yes, I think that life's quite hard and very hard for some people. I continue just to think I'm really, really lucky that I've been born in the culture I have, at the era I have, and being allowed the freedom I have. And it seems very shallow to criticise, when I'm healthy, I'm fine, and I think it's a very shallow. So yeah.
And is there anything else you'd like to add about body image in general, or your own experiences?
I think it's, if people are struggling with their body image, or is to try and share it with trusted people, and really take a reality check, and where possible just look at the positives in your life rather than constantly concentrating on the negatives that then end up taking control and just warping the way you feel about yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing.